I welcome the opportunity and I thank Sinn Féin for the motion. Although I have great difficulties with the concept in the motion, I welcome the opportunity to speak to it and to focus again on the problem of housing. In Galway City, they're waiting 20 years. I don't need to exaggerate, Minister. 20 years on a waiting list in Galway City. The last time we built a house was 2009. I keep saying this because in an otherwise very good article, Cliff Taylor set out the multitude of schemes for housing. It was in the Irish Times, and it was Cliff Taylor and Shauna Bowers, and it was excellent. And he pointed out that 8.3 billion every year is going on housing, and yet we have 13,866 people as homeless. 4,147 of children, and we have 8.3 billion per year gone out. By any stretch, we should have our housing problem solved, and instead of that, it's getting worse and worse. And so the only issue I had with Cliff Taylor's article was he wrote there were no other options because we had to go down the road of HAP. And we went down the road of HAP in 13-14, first as a pilot project and then as the only game in town. And therein was the nub of the problem. Houses were not built, no social or public housing were built from the time HAP came in and before HAP. In Galway from 2009 and then onwards with HAP. And there's almost, between HAP, the rental scheme, and the other scheme, there's almost $1 billion per year going out directly on that scheme, not to mention the whole range of other schemes that the Irish Times, and it's the best layout I've seen. My difficulty with all of this is we made it into a product a long time ago. A home, the most basic unit of society that we have, shelter, was made into a product to be bought and sold and traded on the market. And as a result now, we have a madness, an absolute madness. We have a task force in Galway since 2019. The chairperson, who seemingly did her best, has now gone on to better things, and we have a new chair, both former general secretaries. And at the November meeting, at the September meeting, the chair said she was underwhelmed at the delivery, underwhelmed. 5 years of a task force. And she felt, and she was worried that there was a loss of momentum. In the November meetings of the task force, and bear in mind that they have never once produced a final report, but just ongoing minutes and ongoing reports. And she told us the chair conveyed her concern and disappointed at the projected figures for 2023. That was in relation to social housing. In relation to affordable housing, a task force 5 years later, Galway City and Galway County Council have no delivery in 22 or 23. Galway is the only city with no delivery to date. Let me tell you that now. We have public land in Galway, and because of the multitude of approaches from this government and previous government, we've utterly failed to build public housing on public land, full stop. No other variation. Public housing to the highest standard on public land is absolutely essential to bring down the prices of houses. And talking about affordable houses in this manner and bringing back really landlords in terms of long-term leasing is an effort in desperation because the crisis is so bad. And really what we want to do and want you to do is to acknowledge that your schemes have all failed, other than keeping the prices of houses artificially high. I'm very grateful to the Simon report, who gave constant quarterly snapshots. And remember HAP, the only game in town until very recently, there are no premises available in Galway under the discretionary rate or the normal rate of HAP in Galway. This is a thriving university city. 3 hospitals, 2 universities, and there are no properties to rent within the only game in town. And yet we persist with this type of one scheme and this scheme in terms of equity, shared equity, in terms of help to buy, which is costing a fortune, and helping consultants, and fair play to them, and I know them, to buy a house. But if a consultant in this country can't buy a house on the open market, there's something seriously amiss with our housing policy, that we have to help people with that salary to buy a house. And there's a fundamental class distinction in relation to the way we deal with public housing. Public housing is good. It brings benefits all around. And we should be absolutely doing that. And then in the meantime, yes, for some of the other schemes to help us out of the crisis, but with the vision and with the plan. And I would ask for the last time that that we get a comprehensive report from the task force in Galway.